We are expecting more, but let's get started. And just today, we're going to talk about different ways of engaging members, from electronic tools to like forums or just your directory on your website to events to educational opportunities to your annual meetings. I mean, all over the map, newsletters, communications. So, what I'd like to do is start and have you share um, the one thing that you think works the best for your circle. So, who would like to start? How about Pam? You were on here first. So.
Okay. Hi, I'm from the Baltimore Women's Giving Circle. And, we obviously, like everybody else, we got somewhat disrupted with COVID. The one thing that seems to help us is we have quarterly meetings. We call them full circles. We have them 4 times a year. And that seems to help people connect and have a reason to get out and see each other in person. So that's been effective for us. And that's something we will continue to do. The online stuff is a mixed bag. Sometimes I think people get overwhelmed with the amount of emails they get, and that's managing that process is a challenge. But I think the in-person quarterly meetings really helps.
Okay, thanks. And I was remiss in not introducing ourselves, so I recognize the new faces on here. I'm Anne Marie McGee, and I am a co-chair for Philinus, and I also co-chair the communications committee. I'd like to introduce Nancy Clark, who is our wonderful, we would be lost without her administrator. Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. She's the one that handles all the registrations. And if you do have questions, admin@philinos.org, and she always knows the answer much quicker than most of the rest of us. And then I'd like to introduce Sandy Cook, who also co-chairs the Philinos organization with me. So now we can go on. So thanks, Pam. Those are the full circles. I like that
Yeah.
concept and a nice identity with that. Um, so Paula,
Yeah, so I'm near, we're going from Baltimore to Washington, the kind of greater Washington, D.C. area, Giving Together Inc., which, there's also Giving Together of Annapolis, which I imagine we have anybody on from today or no? Maybe not. Okay, so they are different, Anne Arundel County, I should say, really. I'm sorry. I said Annapolis. I'm trying to adjust my camera. Okay. So we have been doing, and so I'm interested in these. I'm interested to hear a little bit more about these quarterly full meets or whatever you call them. Um, I what we word of mouth seems to be. We're small now. We're just almost at 120. I mean, we're at 119, and we're like, wow, we're kind of getting in the big leagues here. So we find that word of mouth, and sure, we will send emails to our membership, and tell them that we're going to be having a prospective member gathering is what, or uh, uh, what do you call it? Happy hour, prospective member happy hour. It might be a happy hour, could be a coffee, could be what have you, but a meetup or a gathering, whatever you may call it. And then we ask our membership, if need be, to supply any names of people, friends, neighbors, family that might be interested in learning more about us. And we then invite all the names that we get to what we call this prospective member gathering. Now, sometimes we don't even go out to the full membership because as soon as we have one meeting, like we had one in early to mid-November, people then we start getting, Cheryl Donaldson and myself were co-chairs of membership, and we start getting emails. Hey, I have this friend and that friend that's interested. When is the next, prospective member gathering? And so sometimes we'll have we'll create a list just from members referring to us. But I am interested. I'm forgetting the name of the woman who just presented. I apologize.
oh Pam,
Yeah.
Pam.
Yes.
And that we'll do this later. But you were introducing. I apologize. You didn't want me to talk.
that's
I
okay.
apologize. I went right into it. Oh my
I
God,
want
I'm
to do.
so You
One
wanted to
is to
introduce.
I'll
I'm
follow
so
on
sorry.
to what you said. In my
Go
own
ahead.
circle, I don't see Redwood. I'm at Impact 100 Redwood Circle in Sonoma County. We do what we call cocktails and conversation, but it's that same word of mouth. But it also engages our newest members that joined. I don't want to lose sight of the engagement piece here. But what we find from that is they're really anxious to come to something that they can meet people at. We do a new member orientation and social, but they often just to be able to come to a cocktails and conversation and meet more people or bring a friend and then they'll have a friend in the organization. So it is a really good way. But I want to go back to the peer engagement. So Pam, do you want to share how you structure your circles, the full circle?
Yeah, the full circle is it's three. We have, as I said, 4 times a year. It's 3 luncheons, and the last one is an early evening event. And at the last one in May, is when we announce our grant awardees for the year. So that's kind of a celebratory event. At the other three meetings, they're luncheon meetings. With COVID, we introduced a Zoom option. So some of our members still attend by Zoom. We've debated whether to continue to do that, but we hate to take something away from people. Some people we have some older members who feel they would prefer to just Zoom in. But anyways, at the luncheons, we always have a speaker addressing some topic that's pertinent to women. It might be on health. It might be on childcare challenges, just some topic that would be pertinent to women. And it's somewhat informal. It's not a really fancy sit down luncheon. Usually we have them at a church hall or a synagogue hall. We'll have like a buffet, sandwiches, salads, that sort of thing. We have very informal. People sit at tables. One thing we've started doing is we set up specific tables just for new members so they can all sit together, and we have an existing member who sits there and helps introduce everybody and makes people feel comfortable. And we also at each one of these meetings we collect for one of our grantees, like a food bank or whatever. So this has been going on since before. I mean, I've been in the circle for 5 years, and this is a long-standing thing that our circle does. We also do periodic prospective member events. We'll either meet we had always done them at someone's home. We did one at a grantee's location that was very successful. But again, that's more of almost like a just light fare snacks. And we have a grantee speak about what they do. We talk about the circle. And our main source of people, like everyone else mentioned, is members referring friends.
Okay. No, thank you. Kathleen, do you want to comment and share something that works? And by the way, I love your background there. You must be a librarian or a school librarian.
Good morning or good afternoon, I guess. My name's Kathleen Sparrow. I'm with the Anne Arundel County Anne Arundel Women Giving Together, which does incorporate Annapolis, whoever said that. No, so
Yeah.
but we incorporate the entire county. I
Yeah.
work for the Anne Arundel County Public Library as the executive director of their foundation. So I raise money for the library. So therein lies my children's background. So I am the assistant chair of our membership committee. I've not joined into one of these roundtables because I'm usually not able to, but today I'm teleworking and I'm multitasking a little bit today. But so what we do, we actually I don't know exactly what the question was because I came on about 5 minutes late, but I'm getting the idea that it's about member engagement. So that we do quite a few things actually. We have about 325 members, I think now, maybe a little bit more than that. We do a coffee or a happy hour every month for members and prospective members. It's open, you can bring anyone. We've been doing that for a year or two now. They're very popular. We had one this morning. I did not go. I don't know how it went, but we had a coffee this morning. And that's under the membership committee. So we have 2 membership committee members that organize that. We do 4 education events a year that are open to the public. Sometimes they're in person, sometimes they're on Zoom, sometimes both. And we do 2 new member orientations, one in the spring and one in like December, I guess. And then we have what we now call our Circle of Friends, which is our mentor program, and I'm responsible for that. Um, and we just changed the name to Circle of Friends, so I'm still kind of getting used to that. But all our new members are paired with a membership committee member or somebody else, could be on our steering committee, or if someone join the circle because of somebody else, we ask that person to mentor them. And we probably have, I think I just worked on the worksheet yesterday. I think we always have about between 75 and 100 new members that are being mentored any one time. And and it rolls obviously every month where you go, it's a 1 year program. And the most important thing that we ask our mentors to do is to connect with the new member right away, be sure they understand the website, invite them to these events, whether it be a members only event or one of the social events or educational events. And then after a few months, make sure they're comfortable, get them to meet other people. And then after a few months, we start pushing committee involvement and encouraging them to do that. That's a little bit of a change from what we originally were doing. It was when I joined, I've been in the circle for about 5 years now. And when I joined, it was constant pressure to join a committee. And you're brand new, you're trying to get to know people first. And so we still encourage that. We just don't pressure new members quite as much. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. The mentor program has been phenomenal because we didn't have that when I was a new member, and it was during COVID, so it was a little difficult. But the new members really have liked it, and it helps forge relationships a little bit more quickly. Most of us carry between 5 and 10 mentees or connections or friends, as we call them now. And really, it's about having coffee or cocktails or lunch or something with them in the beginning and then just touching base. Um, I bring my mentees together once in a while just to all get together to have coffee because they're all new. So and others do the same. So
I
it's
just
been working really well. So
thank you for sharing that. I love that the whole the friends concept, that
mhm.
it just that connection. But it also seems like a way to engage um long-standing members too, because they're going to
Mhm.
be connected. So
Yeah.
that's actually really thank you for
It's been
sharing that.
great. So it's been a lot of fun, and it does take it takes a lot of work. And our grant committee tends to be the most important committee, and we have educated members that membership is the most important committee because without members, we can't do the grants. And so it might be not more important, but it's equally important. And we put so much emphasis on the grants. And so we've
Yeah.
really tried to treat our members like donors. And we also do renewal calls where we call just to make sure right before they're going to renew to make sure they had a good experience. And that's all members get a call, and it's not to get them to renew, it's to be sure they had a good experience. So
Oh, thank you. No, I like the idea of donor stewardship because I think we forget about that. Oh,
yes, we
everybody.
do. And since I am a fundraiser, it really bothers me that we ask people to give for money and then we treat them like members, which is great, but we don't treat them like donors. We sort of forget. And not that it's been negative, it's just that there's always more that you can do. So
Right, and
Mhm.
not intentionally overlooked, I'm sure.
right,
So
absolutely. I don't want to mislead you, but it's been really nice to have those extra touches. It makes people feel good and part of the process, so, part of the group, which is important. So,
great. No, thank you. Barbara, you had your hand up. So Barbara, let's see.
Yes, I did. I'm representing the Giving Circle of Women's Connection Philadelphia. We're part of what was known as TTN, and we're very thankful to all of you because Ellen Bernstein is now serving on our executive committee. And I have the pleasure of working with her. So I just want to say I'm typically not available on Tuesdays because I take care of grandchildren, but since I broke my wrist, I have more time to spend. But
Mhm.
anyhow, a neighbor's going to ring the bell in a minute. I wanted to say that this year, we started coffees in members' homes, and brought in 41, well, more new members than we have in the past few years post-COVID, because in the different areas of Philadelphia, so it was sort of community-based, and we had a current member or a newish member invite people, and it was people like to be connected. And so I want to say that we also do an annual thank you event. No, no, I mean, the program actually this year will be Ellen talking about giving circles nationwide. We know how to use our resources, but just a time when you talk about stewardship, just to thank people. It's anybody who's a member by December or joins by the date in March. I feel so strongly about it that I said that I would share it in addition to everything else I'm doing because I think it is great to just thank the people, the women who have joined with us, and tell them a little bit more about Giving Circles and have a chance to just schmooze and get together. And luckily, we found Independence Blue Cross in Philadelphia has free space for not-for-profits, and we're trying to use that now post-COVID as the place for all of our meetings, so that when we meet in person. So I would just say that the coffees in people's homes added another personal touch to it.
I love the
And,
idea of that too. That
and the thank you event has always been successful because you're not doing anything but thanking people, thanking the women who made it possible to do our grants. So
love that. I've done phone calls for like a thankathon where you are
yeah,
just calling.
right. I'm
To a
going to a neighbor who's going to start my car, but I'll be right back.
Okay. Thank you. So, Kathleen.
I just wanted to add, our new member orientations are in people's homes, but from some of the younger members, we get a lot of pushback on that because it doesn't always feel inclusive. And it's not comfortable sometimes it's not comfortable for some of the younger members or women of color, especially when it depends on the neighborhood that you're going to and whatnot. So we've been trying to be really sensitive to that to be sure that, we don't make individuals who might not be as wealthy as others feel uncomfortable because we have a tiered membership system where different you can just select to be a member at a lower cost as opposed to a higher cost. So that we've worked it out, but it was kind of an issue for some of our younger members. So I just thought I'd add that.
That's a topic that's come up in the past too, that sometimes that can be it doesn't feel inclusive, especially younger members. Sometimes the wealth differences, it seems people get past that a little bit more, but the age difference, that's been a topic that's come up and
The
don't feel
wealth
comfortable.
difference at one of our new member orientations, we had an icebreaker, and it really was apparent because one of the women has traveled the world extensively, and it kind of took over the conversation about all her extensive travels, and the next person was sort of like, well, I went to the national park last year, and that was really wonderful. And it was just like it was so clear the socioeconomic difference, and yet we're all in it together, right? I mean, we're all trying to make a difference, but it made this one person feel incredible. I was a little uncomfortable myself, so we've tried to educate some of our membership committee members that are older, might have more wealth, to be sure that they remember that not everybody is the same as them, and just to be mindful of that. So we've hurt some feelings doing that, but we felt that it was important just to remind that we're all in this together and we're not all the same all the time. So
Thank you for sharing that. That's a topic I'd put actually out for the future too, that talking about ways to navigate that. And so I wrote your name down. Thank you. Margaret.
Sure. So I want to follow up to what Kathleen just said. We have a young woman who's a new member and a woman of color, and she had a really unpleasant experience at a new member orientation. And I recruited her to help me with new member orientations. And she gave me lots of great suggestions. So at the next new member orientation, she volunteered to do an icebreaker. And I just thought it was so unique. She began by saying, all right, everybody has a phone here. What I want you to do is pull out your phone and find a photograph that has a special meaning to you. Now, that's universal. That's not going to be anything that shows wealth
Yeah.
or anything. So it was really wonderful to connect on such a personal way as each person shared their photograph. So that's just a suggestion of how one person suggested we start off a meeting. Uh,
Mhm.
I'm with Impact 100 Metro Denver, and part of our mission and vision has the words about being intentional and informed philanthropists. So you would think the educational sessions we have 3 or 4 times a year would be the ones that get the most turnout. No, when we introduce something called strictly social, no
Mhm.
education, just social. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's at a happy hour time, it really is
Yeah.
standing room only. And so we did that as a first thing coming out of COVID in January in the summer. It was so popular that now we have a January strictly social and an August strictly social. So we will, and at those, we say, what are the next educational events coming up?
Oh, there you go.
I like that. Yeah, the social events people do. That's why I think in my own circle the cocktails and conversation are so popular because it's social. We actually tell members you can't come unless you're bringing somebody,
Uh-huh.
but they clearly want to come very badly. So that's you get to come if you're bringing something for it. But it's definitely a the social need for that. Um, I'm going to let's see, Marnie.
Hi, I'm with Impact Grant Chicago, and Maggie and Cara are here as well, so they can chime in, which is great to see them. Regarding membership engagement, I mean, we do a lot, what everyone said. Cara can speak about our mentor program. We've done brunches for new members. In the fall, we do a women, wine, and wise philanthropy gathering that just allows especially newer prospective members to come together and hear a little bit about the organization. Last year, we started a member mission meetup in March. What we realized is that we were sort of missing a gathering for members in the spring when roughly 50% of our members are engaged in the committee review process, the grant review process. But we really wanted to kind of pull people together. So we're going to do it again this year in March. But it was an opportunity for us to be a little bit more transparent in terms of as an organization, as a nonprofit, what our leadership's doing, some of the decisions we've made, what our profile of our members look like, and really have smaller group discussions to tackle, just key questions like what's on their mind or what are ideas of improvement or how do they want to get engaged. And it was really worthwhile. I think we got some good feedback from the 40 some people that were there. So we're trying to figure out what sticks, and we've definitely narrowed down our what I'd consider our engagement calendar to key events. So in the fall, we have a kickoff and a lunch and learn, which is educational, and a mingle and jingle, and those are our largest events before our grant award celebration. And then the rest have been smaller, whether education or social coffees. So we're trying to figure it out, but it's taxing. It takes a lot of effort. Cara, Maggie, do you
Mhm.
guys want to chime in?
Just that the other thing that we did that was well received at the mission member meetup was that we talked about how to get on the board because the board is a big mystery we found out. And we basically went through some open positions we had, and then we also talked about ways to get involved without being on the board. We started these new manager roles, which are board support, but they don't have to come to all the board meetings, um, and other ways to volunteer. And we got several women to just sign up that night. So it was great that they wanted more information about leadership positions.
Oh.
Ah,
Mhm.
thank you. That's a really good idea. Kara, did you want to add anything?
Hi, yeah, just that everybody's ideas, Barbara, Kathleen, Pam, about Circle of Friends were so good. I love the fact that you're thanking people, regardless of whether they're new or old. Maggie did host a founding member coffee, which was actually very well received, and people, registered their membership right there on the spot, which really wasn't the intention, but just goes to show that every time you do these thank yous or touch points, people do really appreciate them. And I am responsible for the mentor program, and that's what we call it. But I love Circle of Friends and some of the other things that you all have shared that you do. We're in our third year of having it, and we have about 10 new members because we have over 100 new members this year. So about 10 mentees are assigned to mentors, and it really has helped, I think, with retention as well as just making their experience good for their first year if they choose to engage with their mentors. So that's all I have to add. Thank you. Thank you all for the ideas. They're great.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. So Kim, do you want to share?
So my name's Kim Fry, and I'm from Impact Giving, which is in Southern California, Orange County, far away from the fires, fortunately. So we do a few things. So we have a mentor program as well, and we have sort of welcomes twice a year for those new partners that come in. And we also invite the person that brought them in. So it's kind of thanking them for bringing them and then welcoming the new partners. And let's see, what else? We have, well, probably one of our most effective is we give away 5 to 6 grants every year. And we will then highlight each of those nonprofit organizations throughout the year and have an event where we either invite them to someone's house it'll be half social. There's wine and there's appetizers and all that kind of thing. And then we'll have the nonprofit speak. Sometimes it'll be a volunteer event at their organization, but oftentimes it's in someone's home because it does feel more social. And like you're all saying, there's that craving for connection. Fundamentally, we're here to help support these nonprofits, but we're also supporting each other. And I think that really resonates with our partners as well. Let's see, what else? So a question I have is, so we're about 143 partners right now, and our goal is 150. Originally, it was 1,000. How someone, and I'm sorry, forget who, said they were 315. How do you have events? Like, do you just cut it off at 40? And so then, or how do you host an event when potentially 315 people can come? Obviously, not all going to.
So I was the one we have over 300 members.
Yeah.
We never have a full house. I mean, like for our educational events. So for our coffees and our cocktail parties or our happy hours, those are primarily targeted at new members. And the most we've ever had at one is about 75, and that was a happy hour. We took over the whole bar, and and that was like highly successful. We usually average between 30 and 50 people coming to these, and the coffees are the most difficult because we just try to hold them at a coffee shop, but the happy hours are the most popular. The educational events we hold either at a library, because libraries usually have free meeting rooms, just putting a plug in for your local libraries. The challenge is we can't serve alcohol at the library, so that, everyone wants to have a glass of wine. So libraries, we can usually get 100 to 200 people in there. We do have a challenge, though, with our 2 events. Our grant showcase is in September, and that's it's a membership drive because everybody comes and tries to, they want to see everything about the grants, and that's open to the public. And we get 200 to 300 people there. So finding a space that big is really difficult. And then our spring open house is a membership drive as well. And that another we always have difficulty in finding a space, but usually I think last year we had about 250 people come to that. So it wasn't like every member, comes. that would be phenomenal if every member would come to an event, but we don't seem to have that problem. And that's okay because
Yeah.
a lot of even our new members, sometimes they don't want to get involved. They just want to donate money. So there's that percentage of people who do that too. So we've tried to analyze, all the members to try to meet their needs, which is obviously really difficult, but yeah.
Mhm.
So
We have a wide range of women in our groups. I'm sure we're all similar.
yeah.
Yeah, I have
The
a lot of
Zoom event, the educational events by Zoom, we've been doing those hybrid, and those are really great because those are open to the public, but the members tend to go to the in-person event. So about 100, but we'll have a couple hundred to 300 people on Zoom because it's open, depending on the topic, of course. So
Oh, good
those
for
seem to be
you.
really popular.
Hillary,
So, and we have started to, if you like programs like these, please join the Women's Giving Circle or, make a donation. They used to not do that on Zoom. So now we're a little bit more proactive about self-promoting why we exist. So that's been really positive.
I like that. Hillary, do you want to share something?
Sure. I'm with All in Brooklyn, Women's Giving Circle in Brooklyn, and we are only 60 members, so we might be the smallest group here. I've just joined as co-chair this year. I was the grant making co-chair for the last couple of years. So I'm a little new to membership and engagement issues. One of our key things is looking at like retention and new members. And so we made a really big push for new members this year. And we had a new member who wanted to bring her friend and neighbor in, and she offered to host a party. We've never done anything like this before. It's always been word of mouth. And every year we lose a few and we get a few, and we've always really remained around 60. We've sort of remained even. And this year we wanted to grow by maybe 10 or 15%. And so we've really made a big push with having our members bring friends. We had this big party with one of our grantees and one of our partner organizations, our fiscal sponsor, and we got quite a few new members, but we also lost quite a few. So we've ended up just a little bit ahead of where we were, which is a little discouraging. And I feel like, does this mean every year we're going to have to kind of make such a big push to just sort of, stay the same or grow just a little bit? So it's we're thinking a lot about how we can do new member recruiting. So it's really interesting to hear so many of you are doing multiple events, different types of events. So I've been taking notes. So thank you about that.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. We generally do, we have 4 key events we do. We do a kickoff meeting, and we've always had a speaker. And usually it's something about philanthropy, how to be a better grantee partner, just educational stuff. This year we had 2 of our grantee EDs, and it was a big hit. Everybody loves hearing from our grantees, and so we've decided to kind of incorporate more opportunities for that. We have a holiday party, and this year we had a speaker, and we were lucky to have the Brooklyn Borough president come, and that was great. Everybody was very excited about that. We have a in-person vote to fund meeting where we vote. We present we usually have I would say maybe 12 grantee RFPs that have been researched, and they're presented, and we vote them down to 6. So we do that in person. And then at the end of the season, we have a grantee breakfast with all of our grantees that are getting grants. And we do grants in a 3-year cycle. So each year we have 6 new grantees, but over the course of 3 years, we have 18. So it's a great party. It's a breakfast. We do it. Last year was at a church, it's some kind of public space that we borrowed. And it's early in the morning, so the directors can get, to their jobs and everything. And then this year, since I've started, we're really struggling coming back from COVID and coming back from Zoom meetings and nothing in person. And so we're trying to get people back into community. And it's hard because a lot of our members were meant to be, Brooklyn women, and a lot of members have, they're gone here or there. So it's a little hard, but um, I think, I've been trying to listen to some of the Philanos events and, roundtables like this. And one of the things I took away was like, let's try and meet people where they are. So this year we set up a series of small dinners, just social dinners. And with the idea also that we're really trying to bring our new members in and make them feel connected, which I think we maybe hadn't done so well before. So we planned like 5 events. One was a breakfast at a coffee shop. The rest were dinners at people's homes, just for like 6 or 8 people. And that was really well attended. And I think people really liked it. It was just a way to get to know people. Even though we're so small, I think, like, I personally feel like I still don't know, that many people. So even though I've been a member for a long time and I've been, running committees and all that. And we did start a improved buddy system. Our buddy system used to be the member who brought you in would be your buddy. And this year we started having a new person be the buddy. So now that new member will know at least 2 people. And I don't know, it's been a little glitchy, but I think it's working. The last thing that we do that maybe is like a little more unique is we've done this a few years in a row, and we kind of keep tweaking a little bit, but we've been doing a walking tour and a tour of a grantee, and then like sort of a neighborhood, walk around and then have lunch in the neighborhood. So that's kind of an interesting thing. People seem to like that, and we get to know our community a little bit better.
Thanks for sharing that. In my own circle, Impact 100 Redwood Circle, we have a liaison committee that's meant to be a connection for the grantee. But they also, in addition to putting articles in our monthly newsletter, they also set up tours. And so this is an opportunity to go tour a certain location. And sometimes the groups have to be very small, like at a women's shelter. So it's 6 or 8 people, but they can sign up and maybe there's multiple dates that are offered. And so the liaison person coordinates, that's assigned to that nonprofit, coordinates for them. That's been incredibly popular because people feel like, oh, this teaches me more about it. I'm actually going to the site. And we have the very first grant was made to an organization called Voices, which is for students that have aged out of foster care. It helps them stay in school, go to the junior college. They have a shelter, not a shelter, but a place to go to that has workshops and things for them, helps them connect with services that they need. But it's become a tradition in Redwood Circle to go do Thanksgiving dinner. So it's like 2 days before Thanksgiving, they join the staff and then cook Thanksgiving dinner for everybody. And that they have there's all the volunteers they need to figure out food and things like that. But that's also become popular. So all those connections, the people that seem to be connected through those tours and that, the retention is really high. It's where they haven't tasted that experience of what their philanthropy really means. So I'll just share that.
I think every time our members engage directly with the grantee is really a positive experience for sure. I'd love to ask a question of everybody. I, from Kathleen, heard a little bit about how many members come to your events, but like, what would you say like the percentages, your turnout percentages? Like we're such a small group that if it's, 12 people, it seems like, well, that's kind of a small event, but really that's 20% of our members, which actually is not a terrible turnout, right? So I'd love to hear a little bit about turnout from you all and what we should aim for.
Right. I'm trying to think. So,
Barbara.
I was going to say, I think, Hillary, it really depends on the kind of program. So since COVID and continuing on, we have a focus area. So we have 2 educational programs to sort of prepare members for and our grants our voting meeting is in May, and they remain totally virtual, totally on Zoom, partially because it's easier to get speakers, together, maybe, and do it. And so for some of those, like we have one in a week, and we have about 80 women signed up, which is a little bit less than 50% of our membership, but it's open to more people. But in-person meetings, I would say that 40 or 50% is a lot, because some of our members winter in, they're in Florida. Some of them are in, we're all members over 60. So we're not all women. We're part of the Women's Connection. So, which is for women over 50, actually. So I think that when you get 20%, the number looks small to you, but that's really engaging people. We don't get 100%. I don't think anybody gets 80%. 50% is probably a lot. And we have this year our largest number we're at 191, and we're 12 years old. We are 13 years old, founded in 2012.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
we get about 50% for our big key event. And then
it's called membership churn. You get 40 new and you lose 20, so your net might be 20, and you feel like you did all that work and you're only like 6 people more than you were the year before. But that's sort of
that's what we're experiencing.
Yeah. So the goal of engagement is to make sure nobody ever wants to leave. This is what you have to do. Right. So, Margaret.
Yes, Barbara, you're about right. 20%. I just figured ours. We have anywhere from 200 to 240 members. And I would say the best attendance could be 50. 60 could register, but 40 would attend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I would say, about as far as retention goes,
there's some women who just want to make the gift. They really support our mission of women and children in the city of Philadelphia. And this year we're doing juvenile justice. So it's sort of confined. And there are women who are very generous. In order to be a member for us, it's $200 to be a voting member, but we have met, some members giving in the high thousands and in 5 figures, but some of them just want to support us and they're not really interested in becoming active. And that's also okay. So that impacts your numbers.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good point. Someone else want to comment on this?
No, I just wanted to say, as far as retention goes, retention is a real challenge because I know there's been some comments about you do all this work, but we find every year we're constantly turning over members. And part of our issue is we've been around for 20 years and some of our major members are just, as we say, aging out. Yeah. And so our challenge is to attract new younger members to our circle.
Thanks.
Paula? Yeah. Can I, on that note, kind of jump on that and ask a question about members, aging out or just, they're not as involved or what have you. So we, Giving Together Inc., and I think also Giving Together Van Arundel, I think as well, are both participating in the young member cohort that you all are hosting and doing. And so, in fact, there's, I think, a meeting coming up the end of the month, right? Yeah. Okay. But this raises throughout this discussion, it perked a lot of things in my brain because we're trying to enhance or develop a program. What we had, what we sort of brought to the table in that discussion was that we started, I don't know, about a year and a half ago, a reduced membership, of instead of 1,000 plus admin, it was 500 plus admin, 500 plus $75. Okay. But that was without any real program. Okay. And so we got all these ideas, from the young member cohort that we're participating in. And we're in the process now of developing that. And I'm not getting into that here because that's not the proper scenario, but it brings me to some questions for you all that referred to kind of younger members. one of the things that came up in this, and it's going to the board next week, is our proposed, our little proposal for what we're proposing. And then we'll share that at, the meeting, the end of the month. But one of the things that they want to do, and again, we're small, so we're probably the second smallest. We are like 119, probably over 120 after our prospective member gathering, which is coming up. So, and it's taken us a long time to get there, by the way. But anyways, one of the things that this little group, which includes a couple of younger members already, want to have come March or April, happy hour for, for current younger members, prospective younger members, and then of course GT members that would talk about and, inform and discussions about, informally philanthropy and our giving circle as part of it. But my question is, you all, a lot of people seem to be like it's mixing up, right? Like it sounded like a lot of you were suggesting, and I think that may be true, that it's good to invite, these younger members to overall social or member engagement activities. Yeah, but just this is my last thing. Given some of the issues that we have to consider, diversity, location, etc. Anyways, I'll be quiet now and hear what you all have to say.
Thanks, Paula. So, Kim, do you want to add on to that?
Sure. So I attended a Philanos meeting back in 2020. Remember Seattle right before COVID? Wonder we didn't all come out of it. Anyway, it was on DEI. And one of the big takeaways that I took from that and brought back was, if you want to encourage a new segment, you need to give them their own space to kind of develop and grow and gel. And then, of course, integrate them into the larger group. And we took that to heart. And I think 2 years ago, we had 4, we call them junior partners, and they're at a reduced rate. They pay, we actually just upped our membership dues for the first time in 8 years. So they now pay $850 as compared to our full members that pay $1,500. We grew in 2 years from 4 to 15. And part of that is we have happy hours that just they go to. They'll go rock climbing, or they'll go wine tasting, or they'll do all of these and then invite, their friends. And giving them that own space has been really, really helpful there. That, and I think in conjunction with the mentorship program, that's been helpful too.
Yeah, and the mentorship, right?
Yeah,
that's really helpful.
And I want the component as well. Yeah.
I want to put in February webinar, because Kim, if you went to the DEI session in Seattle, this is the woman that's presenting for our February webinar. And
really?
Yeah, and it'll be a little different. It's talking about courageous conversations. So how to have conversations, maybe you feel uncomfortable or they're just tough conversations. So, but it is Rosetta Lee, and I really encourage all of you here. Kim gave me a great intro to consider signing up for it. So watch for the emails, and it's Tuesday, February 11th, right, Nancy? Okay. Thank you. So I want to continue on. There's some great questions in the chat. How many women are on your membership committees? Hosting all of these coffee, happy hours, recruiting, engaging events is a lot. No kidding. I will share with my own circle. So we have about 270 members. I am on the membership committee. That's my commitment to my circle. And we have various people assigned to these. So Cocktails and Conversation has a couple people. The whole committee probably has, I want to say 14 or 15. We have women that do travel, so it takes a few people. But the Cocktails and Conversation, we have people that agree to do check-in. There's 4 major events during the year, so we have people that are assigned to that. We have someone that connects and makes sure that new members are welcomed. We have people that make those calls for renewals. We have people that try to get calls, and I noticed this was also a question. It's very difficult to get people to respond after they haven't renewed. You really want to know, why didn't they renew? Weren't we what happened. But that one, we do have people assigned to that. So it is breaking it down in little pieces and parts and being willing to, you do need a large committee. I want to say there's at least 12, just changed a little bit. So
I was going to
yeah.
add, we have about, I think 15 or 16 on our committee. There's our chair and then two assistant chairs. And then we have two individuals who are focused on these monthly events and, scheduling them, making sure we have name tags. We all kind of help out on the monthly events by attending whenever possible. They're very low key, very, very low key. But they do take work, definitely. Everybody on the committee is responsible to help with renewal calls. And we made a decision about a year ago to call the renewing members about 2 months before their renewal date. So it doesn't feel like a sales call, because for a while it felt sort of like a sales call. And so that it's, and we tell them in the scripting is that you will get an email in a couple of months about renewing. We just give them a heads up. And we also changed how often you get notified that you're renewing and then going inactive and all those things, because it was like so many emails and we know people were just delete, delete, delete. But not everybody makes renewal calls because some people are uncomfortable, and not everybody is a mentor because some people don't have the time or they just don't feel comfortable. So they get additional other assignments. So
Yeah.
I think we need one more assistant chair because of all these events, and we're trying to get the events committee to help us. But they're pretty busy too. So, but they've been so popular, especially with younger and new members, that like the coffees and that, even though everybody's invited, I think we really target the new members to make them feel comfortable. And then Kim mentioned a younger person's group. That's not in membership, but we're starting that. And I should know more about what it is since I'm in membership, but I got enough in my brain. But we're doing something similar, and I think it's being percolated up by the younger members who want to do things on their own. So you've inspired me to go figure out what that is. So
Maggie, do you want
I just wanted to ask Kathleen, you say 2 months prior to the membership due date, you're making calls and you're not trying not to do a sales call. Are you just saying, I'm going to check in with you? How are you doing?
Yeah,
More like that?
exactly. We do mention that, their membership is going to renew in a few months, a couple of months, and we let them know that they're going to get an email. But we also let them know that this call is just about what has been your experience. Do you have any suggestions about your experience? Was there anything negative? Do you feel that your investment in your donation into the organization, was worthwhile? I mean, we just ask really pointed questions. Most of the people we call are pretty open to talking, but it does take a lot of work to get a hold of people. And then because nobody answers their phone. And if you don't have even, yeah, so a lot of times I send an email that says, hey, I'd love to chat with you about your membership. I'm going to call you. And then my area code doesn't match the local area code. So I always tell them this is where I'm from. So if it shows up, please answer the phone. I promise I'm not a robocall. I try to make a joke out of it. But I did put in the chat, the members who have chosen not to renew, they don't talk. They rarely will talk to us. And we have gotten feedback in the past. And some people didn't feel included. They didn't really like the organization. They didn't really understand where their donation went. I wasn't making those calls, but I heard the feedback. But we also don't torment them. If they don't renew, we might call just to ask why, but most of the time they've made the decision, and we've just moved on because it's so much work and we're not getting a real good response. So I think we might have a survey too that we send to ask them why they didn't renew. I should, but I don't think they fill it out. So
And I can't locate my hand to raise my hand. I apologize. I don't know what happened. Find it. But can I just mention, I want to reinforce something that Kathleen said earlier about the membership committee. I'm a co-chair of our membership committee. We're a much smaller group than you all. But we have a very similar experience, and I'm sure everybody else has this as well. The grants committees, which, look, I'm the founding president of our organization, and I know that the grants work is the heart of what we do, okay? And it is the most important committee, obviously, or committees. Because we have two streams. But anyways, you made a really important point, Kathleen, that the membership committee, I mean, I wish I might want to get in touch with you separately because I wrote it down somewhere, whatever you said. But if we don't have the members, we're not going to have the grants. We're not going to have the grants money. And so we've had a hard time. We're a small group, but so we don't have like you all had much more. But I want to say we have 8 to 10 members, okay? And we're about 120. And we try to encourage people, but like most people are like, oh, well, I want to be on the grants committee now, maybe in the future. So that is something that I really think could be a topic maybe for another day. And also, Anne, you had mentioned, and maybe I missed it, that you were going to share with us about retention rates from the last, it came up at the last membership roundtable, or yeah.
It's still in the works. It was a little harder to get some of that information, so we'll put it on for.
No, that's fine. Didn't know if I missed it. Okay.
Barbara, do you have something?
I was just going to say, I spent 50 years doing development work as a professional in the not, largely in the Jewish community, but and having everybody was writing about like 25% attrition, having 75 or 80% retention is still amazing. Lots and lots of big organizations have retention rates of 60. So we shouldn't beat ourselves up if we're losing 25% and we're losing 25 members and we're getting 10 new. It's the membership churn. There's so many reasons why people change, but having a 75 to 80% retention rate is really, really good within the nonprofit world. So, we want everybody to love what we're doing, and we can't understand why they don't want to renew. And in our case, a renewal is $200. So it's meant to be really accessible for women. But you shouldn't be beating yourselves up if you're having an 80% retention rate or 75%.
Barbara, I'm so glad you mentioned that because I work in development too, and my retention is 50%, maybe 40. So you're right. I never thought about it in the same thought, in the same vein. So thank you for reminding us.
Great way to end on a positive note that the work we all do. I'm going to shamelessly copy Kathleen's comment that membership is the most important committee because it really is. I mean, where would we be if we didn't have it? I want to, Nancy has dropped the plug in for the February 11th webinar. And there was an email this morning that you should have received regarding that. And that is Rosetta Lee, and it's Courageous Conversations. And she's done some work with the Philanus Board. I would say she's absolutely fabulous. She is a middle school teacher for a Seattle girls' school. And I think anybody that teaches at the middle school level, it's an extreme vocation. But she's just an incredible speaker. And I think you would find it well worth your time to do it. If you can't attend, do go back and collect the recording. I also want to announce, because I heard someone talk about the Seattle conference, and then we did one in Baltimore in November 2023. We are just announcing our next national conference in Austin, Texas. It'll be February 8th to the 10th. And it starts in the evening of February 8th. And so you can actually fly in that morning for most people, and then it will end on the 10th, and you'll be able at noon, and you'll be able to fly home that afternoon. So, or drive or whatever. So,
assuming that's 2026.
Yes.
Conference.
Oh,
okay. Yes, okay.
No, not next month.
We had a lot of mix-ups on that. No, 2026. And so watch for a lot more details. But we also will be recruiting speakers, and I wrote a couple of you down. There'll be a track on communications, technology, different parts of our organization. So last time we did 4 tracks, and we're going to copy that model. So there were breakouts, and there were affinity group sessions like this, where there was a lot of chance to share in roundtable sessions. So I won't go on too much, but given the kind of conversation today, it sounds like it would be great to see all of you in Austin for Power Up Texas. Um, so thank you for today. This was a really good discussion. I just can't appreciate all of you enough for the willingness to share and help each other and offer so many terrific ideas. Philinus is here to help you. We love having our affiliates, and um, you're why we're here and why I have chosen to be on the board, and Sandy's chosen to be on the board, and we live it night and day. And so anyway, thank you so much. And we will be doing the next one the third Tuesday in March. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.